I never imagined my quiet life as a farmer would turn into a fight against a gang. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sky hung low over our fields, rumbling with dark clouds, just like the storm brewing in my heart. I was out there, digging my hands into the cool earth, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. They said change was a whisper, but this felt more like a shout. I paused, feeling every heartbeat reverberate through my chest as I wiped the sweat from my brow. The silence was thick, almost suffocating. That's when I first saw them shadows lurking at the edge of my property, moving like phantoms amidst the sunflowers. My hands trembled, dirt falling from my fingers like time slipping away. I couldn't tell if it was the fear crawling up my spine or the sheer unfamiliarity of the scene unfolding before my eyes. Growing up, the land was my world, my family's legacy. My father taught me to respect it, to listen to its secrets. But that day, the ground felt poisonous. I thought of my mother. She had always said there are forces out here you can't see, darker than the storm clouds. And I was beginning to believe her. The rumors had been swirling around town, whispers of a gang that wanted control over the land. They came in the dead of night, leaving nothing but a chill and a broken lock. I remembered the fateful call from Jake, my best friend, his voice shaking, warning me of what was to come. "They're headed your way," he said. And just like that, hope turned to dread. The evenings felt different now. I'd sit alone at the kitchen table, staring at the empty chair across from me. The knife's edge of loneliness cut deeply. I pushed my food around my plate, the silence mocking me, and my mind spiraled with visions of what might happen. The fear of what I could lose paralyzed me. A scream cut through the air, jolting me upright. Was that the sound of my dreams shattering? Days passed, and the shadows thickened, always lurking, always waiting. I noticed the eyes watching from the tree line, glinting with malice. Paranoia took hold. My heart raced every time I stepped outside. I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house pulled me back into a state of alertness. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, a flicker of a plan emerged. I couldn't stand by and watch my family's legacy crumble. Gathering my courage, I grabbed a shovel, the very tool that connected me to my roots. I was ready to fight, but doubted my strength. Would I be enough? The thought echoed in my mind, relentless and haunting, and then, one fateful night, I heard Ida low, threatening laugh echoing through the darkness, sending chills down my spine. I stepped out, heart pounding furiously against my chest, holding my breath as the shadows drew closer. Suddenly, everything went silent, as if time itself stopped. I felt the weight of their presence creeping closer, enveloping me in fear and uncertainty. With trembling hands, I raised the shovel, ready to defend everything I held dear. But just as my senses turned razor-sharp, the sound of footsteps approached from behind. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The moon hung heavy in the sky that night, casting its ghostly light on the fields below, illuminating the landscape that felt infinitely more foreign than ever before. My heart thrummed like a wild stallion in my chest as I turned to face the source of the footsteps. The shadows loomed behind me, their intentions unclear, but I could feel the raw energy of fear, thick as a fog, creeping back into my veins. "Stay back," I shouted, my voice cutting through the tension like a knife. The shovel felt heavy in my hands, not just with its physical weight, but with the gravity of what I now had to protect. Suddenly, the figure emerged from the darkness, stepping into the moonlight. It was Jake, his wide eyes mirroring the same fear and concern I felt within.
"Don't swing."
"It's me," he called out, his breath visible in the chilly air. Relief washed over me, but it was quickly tainted by confusion. "What are you doing here?" I asked, lowering the shovel just slightly, ready to swing it again, if necessary. "I couldn't just sit back and do nothing," he said, taking cautious steps towards me. "I've heard the whispers, too. I came to help. You're not alone in this fight." My heart fluttered at the thought of having someone by my side. I'd been drowning in solitude, the weight of this impending chaos threatening to pull me under. "But Jake, they might come for you. They don't just want land, they want to instill fear. You shouldn't have come." A flicker of determination lit up Jake's face. "If they think they can scare us off our land, they're about to learn the wrong lesson." His fervor reignited a spark of hope within me. Together, we could make a stand. As we stood there, an unexpected breeze picked up, whispering through the rows of sunflowers. It felt like a secret shared between the earth and us. It was enough to remind me of the love my parents had nurtured through every plowed furrow, every seed planted. This land was our heritage, and I suddenly felt an overwhelming need to defend it. "We need to come up with a plan," I said, eyes scanning the horizon. "They're not just going to disappear. We have to make our presence known." Jake nodded, and the two of us started to strategize, igniting flickers of courage within each other like the first rays of dawn scattering the shadows. Days turned into an anxious rhythm, each sunrise a reminder of what was at stake. Every night, I found myself staring out the windows, watching and waiting, alive with the sense of urgency Jake and I had stoked. We gathered supplies, makeshift barricades, traps, whatever we could muster to strengthen our defenses. And with each passing day, our bond deepened as we shared stories, dreams, and fears over cups of coffee that grew colder on the table as we neglected our meals. But amidst the fleeting moments of laughter and solidarity, an unfamiliar shadow kept creeping into my thoughts. What if my efforts were not enough? The gang's presence lingered in the air, and the fear of the unknown kept spinning in my mind like a restless kite caught in a storm. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, I received an unexpected visitor. Clara, an elderly woman from the neighboring property. Her face, lined with the years of farming and perseverance, was filled with a familiar warmth. "I brought you some preserves," she said, handing me a jar filled with deep red cherries. "I figured you'd need a little something sweet amidst all this chaos." The unexpected kindness rekindled a flicker of warmth in my heart. I took a moment to absorb the beauty of her gesture, allowing gratitude to wash over the fear when she placed a weathered hand on my shoulder. "We're all watching out for you, you know. We've faced darkness before, and we'll face it again, together." Her words carried weight, but as soon as the comfort settled in, reality jarred me back. In that same moment, the haunting sound of sirens filled the air, echoing through the valley like a death knell. Jake and I exchanged glances, recognizing that the moment we had both been anticipating was upon us. The gang was making their move. My stomach twisted as we rushed to the window, peering out into the night. A pair of headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the road that led into our property. My pulse quickened, uncertainty clawing at me again. These were not just shadows anymore. They were the danger we had been preparing to confront. With urgency threading through my veins stronger than fear, I turned to Jake, who remained steadfast beside me. "We have to act now. This is our chance." But before I could say more, a sharp crack split the air, echoing like thunder against the quiet country night. The world felt like it paused, swallowing the moment in anticipation. Suddenly, Jake's face went pale. "They're not coming to negotiate," he whispered, his eyes widening in horror. As the reality of what lay ahead began to sink in, I gripped the shovel tighter, its metal cool against my palm. We had come too far to turn back now. But in the weight of what awaited us, one thought emerged, unwavering and relentless. Would we have the courage to stand against what was coming, or would we be swept away by the shadows of our fears? And in that moment of chaos waiting to unfurl, I could sense a bitter truth rising like the sunlight. There were forces far beyond us, darker than we had imagined, ready to upend everything we held dear. The night air grew heavier with every heartbeat as Jake and I braced ourselves against the onslaught of our fears. The sounds outside intensified, a cacophony of shouts mingling with the occasional blast of laughter that felt more like a taunt than a celebration. It felt as if the shadows of the world were genuinely closing in, keen on overwhelming not just our home, but the very essence of who we were. I moved towards the door, the gravel crunching beneath my boots, steadying my resolve. "We can't let them take this away from us," I said, though doubt crept into my voice. It had been days of planning, but nothing could truly prepare us for what was about to unfold. Jake's eyes fixed on me. "We stick together, no matter what happens." His unwavering conviction wrapped around me, lending me strength just when I felt it falter. But the moment was fraught with tension, a fragile piece held together by the unspoken fears both of us harbored. I wasn't just risking my life or my farm. I was risking what little sanity I had left in the face of chaos. The noise grew louder. The headlights cut through the half-darkness like swords wielded by unseen warriors. Taking a deep breath, I eased open the door, the hinges crying out into the night. Outside, the scene was unrecognizable. Cars lined the dirt path, and figures loomed in the distance, silhouettes against the brightness that bled from their vehicles. It was then that I noticed Clara, out on her porch, clutching the edges of her shawl, as if it might somehow shield her from the encroaching threat. Our eyes met, hers wide with fear but fierce in determination. It struck me like lightning. She was not just a witness to history in the making. She was a participant, just as we were. And she needed to know she wasn't alone either. "Clara," I called, anxiety threading through my voice. She stepped forward, eyes darting between the chaos and me. "I'm with you. My friends, and I won't let them destroy everything we've built." There was a fire that flared in her chest. It felt contagious. The gang's laughter echoed again, a cruel sound that seemed to act as a timer for our resolve. I turned to Jake. "We gather everyone we can. The more of us there are, the better chance we have." And so, as if stirred by an ancient call, we spread ourselves out, moving through the thickening night like whispers catching onto the wind. Neighbors emerged from their homes, their faces illuminated in the pale light, revealing fear but also a growing courage ignited by shared purpose. We had become more than just farm families. We were a community bound by resilience. As we gathered, I took the opportunity to move close to some of the older boys, offering them the strength of my own nervousness. "You're not just backing your own family. You're standing with everyone here. We're in this together, side by side." "Stand tall," I said, managing a smile that cracked at the edges, hope fighting against the anxiety swirling in me. But then, just as the night seemed to hold a flicker of promise, I felt a sharp jolt of panic pierce the air. A figure moved away from the gang, purposefully approaching our gathering, solitary, confident, and all too familiar. "Liam?" I breathed. My heart sank as I caught sight of the boy who had once been a friend, now draped in the shadows of those who had created chaos in our lives. He had a sly grin plastered across his face that twisted my stomach. "Didn't expect to see you out here, Hannah. Really thought you'd give up by now, to be honest." "Such disdain? We won't let you win, Liam. None of us will allow it." But something dark crossed his face, an expression that shadowed the moment, heavy with a truth I hadn't wanted to acknowledge. "Oh, Hannah, you have no idea what's coming for you." His words hung in the air like a heavy curtain, darkening the flickers of strength surrounding us. My heart raced as the realization settled and we were standing at the edge of a precipice, and the danger was not just from the gang. It was from those who had once been one of us, who would no longer hesitate to tear apart everything we held sacred. With the gang's laughter echoing all around and the threat of Liam cutting deeper into our resolve, the night wrapped its cold fingers around my heart once more. I felt a shivering pang of dread at what lay ahead, knowing full well that stand we took for our land would soon lead to battles we had never anticipated, battles that would test the strength of our unity and our spirits. And as the unrelenting tide of darkness loomed closer, one question screamed above the rest. Would we have the heart to fight the true battles, or would we falter under the weight of our fears? A tense silence settled over the gathering. Faces that had just moments before been set with determination now flickered with doubt, all of us caught in the vortex of Liam's ominous words. The night seemed to breathe in with us, capturing the weight of our shared uncertainty. I turned to Jake, who stood close by, jaw clenched as his eyes scanned the crowd. We need to inspire them. Remind them why we're here, I whispered urgently, though my voice trembled. Inspiration was a fragile thread, easily broken, and I feared our resolve would shatter under the pressure of Liam's menace. Hey, everyone. Jake raised his voice, pushing past the fear that gripped him. We've always fought for this place. The land, the crops, the memories tied to this farm. This is our legacy. His words rippled through the crowd like a fresh breeze, a reluctant spark in the gloom. A few murmurs of agreement surfaced, but they were still drowned by hesitation. Clara stood beside me now, placing a hand on my shoulder, her eyes searching for something in mine. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for each other. This community, she exclaimed, breathing life into the air that felt so suffocating moments ago. If they think we're going to back down, they don't know what we're made of. A wave of energy pulsed through us, igniting the hope that flickered feebly in our chests. One by one, neighbors nodded, some clenching their fists or holding their children close, ready to stand their ground against the impending storm. But just as I felt the tide turning, I heard the crunch of gravel underfoot, drawing my gaze back to Liam, who watched with an unsettling satisfaction. You think standing together will keep your dreams intact? That camaraderie will shield you? He scoffed, his grin widening. Well, see how brave you all are when the real confrontation begins. The cruel confidence in his voice cracked my heart open, spilling out fear that mingled with my determination. I needed to turn the narrative, to show Liam what unity felt like. You don't know us, Liam. This isn't just a farm, it's a family. We will fight tooth and nail to protect what's ours. The words rolled off my lips like an unexpected surge of courage, igniting those nearby. Clara's grip around my shoulder tightened in solidarity. A chorus of murmurs swelled amongst us, feeding off the energy I had summoned, transforming fear into defiance. Then, let's show them we're not afraid. Let them come. Jake shouted, his voice ringing out, gathering momentum from the hearts around him. He looked at me, eyes alight with a blend of pride and desperation. Hannah, we will protect this place. I promise. Just as hope cascaded over us, a rumble of engines echoed in the distance, drawing our focus toward the mouth of the road. My heart sank again, realizing that within moments the threats lurking beyond the headlights would soon be upon us, ready to unravel everything we had held onto, everything we had fought to protect. Through the haze of my resolve, I caught a glimpse of the leader of the gang, a hulking figure, heavy with authority, stepping from the shadows to stand beside Liam. His mere presence poured cold dread into my core. I recognized his intentions. He was there to make a statement. Time's up, folks, he called out, voice smooth and dripping with malice. You think you have the right to defy us? This is just a farm, a piece of land. His dismissive tone made my spine tingle as he gestured dismissively, but you'll see what happens when depriving us of what we want. The urgency thumping in my chest was now matched by the frantic beating of my neighbors' hearts. Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes as I sensed the collective fears swirling in the atmosphere, threatening to suffocate the embers of our hope. Stay together, I implored. This is our land, our home. We fight as one. As I stepped slightly in front of Jake, I felt the weight of our community pressing behind us, every face etched with a mix of doubt and determination. Liam snickered in the background, tauntingly urging on his gang. They began to move toward us, a storm of malice and brash energy radiating from their group. Then, a sudden shout came from the back of our assembly. It was Clara's younger brother, stood on a crate, his small stature somehow lifting a profound surge of courage. We won't let you take our home. You can't scare us. His voice rang out high and true, scattering my fear like dust in the wind. That moment ignited a renewed fire among us, hearts fueling each other's resolve. We would not be merely spectators to our fate. We would rise, as the first sense of invincible unity swelled amongst us. A sickening realization clawed at my mind, the looming question echoing between shouts of protest. What could we truly do against a force that had already bent the very common bonds of friendship into a weapon against us? And deep down, though we stood stronger than ever, a crackling tension hinted at the truth of it all. Would our solidarity be enough to face the darkness? Would it withstand the trials ahead when the fight began? As the gang advanced, the last moment of calm ebbed away, and uncertainty clawed at the edges of my spirit, twisting it like the overgrown roots of the very land we fought for. The real fight was just beginning. As the gang closed in, the palpable dread weighing down the air thickened like a storm cloud ready to burst. I could feel the tremor of my own heartbeat echo in the silence that momentarily settled upon us. Faces of friends, neighbors, and families flickered before me, their hopes intertwined with fears as they advanced with grim determination. But with each step they took toward us, I wondered how fierce this battle would truly be. From the corner of my eye, I saw Clara's face contort in anxiety, her younger brother standing bravely, yet so small amidst the shadows. "Hannah," she whispered, her voice stealing my focus. "What if they hurt him?" "No," I replied, a sense of urgency coursing through me. We won't let that happen." I clasped Clara's hand, drawing strength from our bond. There was an unspoken knowledge between us, the deeper understanding that we had to protect not just the land but each other. Jake, standing fiercely beside me, scanned the opposing gang with a burning intensity. "Well-needed distraction," he muttered under his breath, the gears in his mind turning rapidly as he searched for a way to divert the danger looming ahead. "Well, split them up." Just then, a wild idea sparked in me, illuminating a flicker of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. "The barn. We can set up a few traps, a bonfire to draw their attention, and let the field cover those who need to hide." My mind raced as I brokered the words. "It can create chaos. Give us time to get ready." "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Jake asked, his eyes lighting up while the weight of what lay ahead still hung in the air. Clara nodded, her voice trembling but defiant. "We can gather as many people as we can, everyone who can help. We have to make them aware of our resolve." Instinct urged me to keep my gaze steady on the gang, though fear gnawed at my insides. "Okay, let's split up," I said, my heart thrumming in my ears. "Jake, take a team with you to the barn. I'll stay here and keep the crowd focused." Liam's face twisted in that moment, his arrogance palpable. "You really think you can outsmart us with a few tricks?" he called out, his voice laced with mockery. "You're all just kicking against the pricks. Don't listen to him," Clara shouted, inciting an uproar of agreement from those gathered. "He's only here because he knows your strength." As Jake rallied a small group behind him, my focus turned back to the gang, my heart pounding not just for the confrontation ahead, but the hope so closely hanging by a thread. The sound of their boots crunching against the gravel echoed in the stillness, transforming every passing second into a heavy weight pressing down on my chest. I felt a sudden urge to step forward, to meet them halfway. "Well, stand our ground," I shouted, defiance ringing in my voice. "We won't be your prey, just a bunch of naive farmers," Liam sneered, stepping closer. But there was an underlying current in the depths of his gaze, a flicker of something darker. "You have no idea what you're messing with." Before he could finish his threat, Clara's brother jumped down from the crate, determination gleaming in his young eyes.
"Run!"
he yelled suddenly, sprinting toward the barn, his courage igniting embers in the hearts of the crowd. "Help Hannah and Clara. They need us." With that, the crowd stirred, several people darting toward the barn to join Jake and set the traps. It was a moment of chaotic yet heartfelt solidarity. I could see the glimmers of hope and the confidence radiating from those around me. Then I felt a heaviness settling into my stomach. Panic gripped me. What if we were just delaying the inevitable? What if the fight would tear our community apart instead of stitching it together? "What's your plan?" demanded Liam, snapping me out of my spiral. "A bonfire won't save you." His laughter echoed around us, mocking and hollow. But within it, I sensed a crack, a vulnerability peeking through his bravado. It sent ripples of uncertainty through my resolute facade, but I forced myself to straighten, to project clarity and strength. "You think you can force fear upon us," I replied, my voice steady despite the tumult raging in my heart. But we're stronger together. We have our families, our land, our spirit, and those are things you can't take. A sudden movement caught my eye. A figure stood at the edge of the crowd, draped in shadows with an air of familiarity I couldn't quite grasp. My heart raced.
Who was it?
I couldn't identify them through the wavering branches and flickering shadows cast by the distant streetlights, but something churned in the pit of my stomach, warning me of an imminent upheaval. Liam noticed, turning his gaze to the figure, his grin faltering for the first time. "What now?" he hissed, glancing back with irritation before his eyes widened in momentary recognition. And that fleeting moment, everything slowed. Clara's brother was racing toward us, the chaos swirling into a tapestry of connections, fear blending into strength, but my focus remained on the figure in the shadows. And just as the tension reached a boiling point, a tremor of realization struck me, unraveling the facade of confidence I had tried to hold on to. The weight of the world seemed to press down, tethering me to the ground as I came face to face with the unexpected. In the distance, that figure stepped forward from the shadows, revealing not just a stranger, but someone I had once called familiar face I thought I'd never see again. A gasp escaped my lips as I tried to reconcile the whirlwind of emotions bombarding my heart. Just as clarity washed over me, my thoughts spiraled, cracking open the very foundation that had grounded me in this fight. In the shadows of the past, I realized I could no longer hide from or rely on my own fears. The darkness was standing right at our threshold, and the choice to embrace our fate was no longer just about the farm. It was about every bond, every moment we ever shared. What awaited me in this confrontation was beyond comprehension, and as I stood there, heart racing and uncertainty swirling in the air, I wondered if this unexpected return was the key to our salvation or the destruction of the fragile hope we had clung to so fiercely. The yard felt charged with an uneasy energy, the air a blend of dust and anticipation, as the figure stepped closer. My breath caught in my throat. I struggled to make sense of the reality unfolding before me. Every muscle in my body froze as the last vestiges of hope frayed at the edges, suffocated by the weight of what this reunion meant. "Hannah?" The voice was both foreign and painfully familiar, sending shockwaves through my heart. My eyes flickered over the features of my long-lost cousin, Ethan, a boy who had once been my closest companion before life had swept him into the harsher realities of the world. I hadn't seen him in years.
"Ethan?"
I finally managed to whisper, the name feeling like a prayer caught in my throat. His disheveled hair framed a face marked by the realities of life on the run. But it was the glint in his eye of fire ignited by fear and survival that mirrored my own. "What are you doing here?" I asked, fear and confusion battling for dominance within me. The images of our childhood flashed behind my eyelids, where laughter and dreams mingled so effortlessly. He leaned closer, urgency etched into his brow. "I came to warn you. They're coming for you. This isn't just about the farm. They want more than just land, Hannah. They want control over everything connected to it. They think you hold something they need." My heart raced, and I steeled my resolve, though fear gnawed at my edges. "What do you mean?
What do they want?"
The chill that swept through me had little to do with the cool evening air. Ethan glanced back at the gathering shadows of the gang, his face taut with concern. "Liam isn't just some lowlife who thinks he can bully farmers. He's part of something much bigger, and they know your family's history, how your father took a stand years ago. They think that old ties give you power, a legacy they want to extinguish." The sobering weight of his words wrapped around me like chains. Behind me, Clara's brother kept his excited energy, oblivious to the danger lurking a few steps away, yet the battlefield was no longer merely about territory. It was a fight for who we were and who we would forge ourselves to be. "Ethan, I don't know if we can survive this," I admitted, my voice quaking. The thought curled around my consciousness like smoke, dissipating into doubt. "Maybe I shouldn't have even tried to fight." "No," he asserted, and for a brief moment, his presence felt like a light breaking through an oppressive darkness. "You have to believe you can fight. You have something that they don't. Look at all of them. Nobody fights alone in this community." His hand found mine, gripping it tightly, grounding me amidst the turmoil. It was an unexpected kindness amidst uncertainty, and fueled a flicker of warmth deep within. They're not just here for you. They want to dismantle everything: our families, our stories. If we don't stand together now, we risk losing it all. The crowd murmured around us, a wave of rising sorrow and resistance that pushed against the darkness, giving me the strength I desperately needed. I turned to face them, the faces of my friends and me, family shining in the dusk. The fear that had haunted me flickered into something more potent, and I knew we had to stand united against this threat. As the gang approached, Liam's mocking laughter seeped through the air like poison, breaking the momentary calm. "Look at this, cousins reunited. How precious," he jeered, leaning against a wooden beam as if the whole affair were a mere show for his entertainment. I felt the anger surging within me, fueled by Ethan's sudden reemergence and the strength of those gathered around me. "This is more than a fight for what you can take," I shouted at him, my voice trembling with conviction. "We're not going to back down because of you. Are you ready to watch your little quaint life slip through your fingers?" He taunted, baring his teeth in a snarl. Yet as determination wrestled against my uncertainty, I caught another glimpse of something behind the bravado and the bravado, a flicker of fear. Ethan pressed a shoulder against mine, unyielding. "Your resolve will not falter. You've got this." With the stakes growing higher by the second, a nervous energy pulsated through my veins alongside an unforeseen warmth. And in that moment, I felt the connection to my people, our shared resolve, leaves intertwined like vines, waiting to break free from the choking grip of fear. But as we stood at the precipice, ready to defend everything we cherished, another shadow slipped through the crowd, an unfamiliar figure emerging from the darkness at the edge of the road. I squinted against the dim light, my heart thundering as recognition sparked fear within me. From behind the gathering, a woman stepped forward, her presence standing out starkly against the chaos. Her eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that ignited a primal fear I had buried for so long. The revelation crashed over meth. Whispers of my mother's past reached into my soul.
It couldn't be.
The unrivaled truth descended like an avalanche, threatening to swallow me whole. Her voice pierced through the murmur of shock, a chilling combination of warmth and cold detachment. "Hannah, dear, you have no idea how deeply entangled your fate really is." With her words, the final thread of security twisted away, leaving me bereft in the face of uncertainty. My world, stacked so delicately upon the tenets of family and hope, hung precariously as the truth bore down on me. As the crowd gasped together at the sudden turn of fate, my heart sank. How could I fight when the depths of my own lineage threatened to rip everything I loved apart? The air thickened with tension, and the world around me began to blur, consumed by the chilling certainty of my mother's voice. Questions spiraled in my mind, threatening to drown me in confusion. The rain-soaked earth beneath our feet felt like it could dissolve at any moment, taking with it the fragile identities we had all crafted through pain and perseverance. Her presence was unsettling, a ghost that should have remained buried amidst the past. "What do you mean, entangled?" I managed to stammer, fighting against the rising tide of panic threatening to overwhelm me. "You carry the legacy of your mother's choices, Hannah," she said, each word draped in a layer of complexity that turned my chest to stone. "The power they seek is far deeper than land. It's about connection, lineage. The blood that runs through your veins binds you to an old battle, one that was supposed to end with your father." The crowd shifted uneasily behind me, their faces tarnished by unease. Ethan's grip on my arm tightened, anchoring me as I sought to find footing in the swirling chaos surrounding our small, once peaceful life. Words bubbled beneath the surface, but I could hardly grasp the tumultuous thoughts fracturing my resolve. What did my mother do? What kind of legacy did she leave? "Hannah," she continued, voice resonating with both urgency and a tenderness that belied her intentions, "you need to understand. Liam is only the tip of the iceberg. The forces at play here want to rewrite history, and your family stands in their way. Your mother chose to protect you from this world and erased her ties to it, but that choice threatens your life now. Anger surged within me as frustration uncoiled. You think I'm going to let you dictate who I am based on her past? I won't let you or anyone dictate my future. Her gaze softened for a moment, but the self-assured confidence she exuded made it clear she was not deterred. I caught Ethan's eye, a subtle exchange of unspoken fears reflected back. The weight of legacy pressed down on me, crisp like dry autumn leaves but pierced through with the potential for new growth. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught my eye, a glimmer of purpose igniting among the crowd. Clara, ever the fierce friend, stepped forward, her body radiating strength, anchored by conviction. "You're not alone in this," she shouted, her voice resonating like a battle cry across the yard. "We will stand by you, Hannah. No matter what demons come knocking, we fight together." Her words struck like lightning, illuminating the resolute determination filling this moment with possibility. My heart swelled, fighting hard against the rush of despair threatening to overcome me. Clara's fierce belief in unity echoed the sentiment Ethan had shared only moments ago. Behind her, others began to step forward, friends, neighbors, and even those I barely knew. Each one stood in solidarity, faces alight with determination, and together, they transformed the atmosphere from one of fear to something unyielding and pure. But as we turned toward Liam and his crew, their smug satisfaction prickled the air, and uncertainty flickered back in haunting colors. The climactic moment felt so close, yet so far. "This is not over, Hannah," Liam drawled, arrogance dripping from his voice like venom. "You've ignited consequences you can't even fathom." Suddenly, the ground beneath us trembled as the earth shook with impending news. A bright, roaring siren echoed in the distance. My heart plummeted at the sound. It was an ominous reminder that danger was encroaching, roots of chaos sprawling ever closer. As sirens blared louder, the crowd began to scatter in a new wave of panic, unsure whether they should confront the approaching threat or retreat back into the safety of their homes. But my eyes stayed locked on Liam's, the threat emanating like a chilling wind chilling the bones. "Your moment is coming, Hannah," he sneered, retreating into the lengths of darkness that were charging toward our quiet lives with each paddle of adrenaline coursing through my veins. Yet in this storm, amidst uncertainty, the previous night's warmth lingered, a bond forged through shared resolve, the community's courage, the light of hope flickering anew despite the shadows closing in. With my heart in turmoil and fists clenched tight, I took in a deep breath, not to surrender to fear, but to prepare for battle. I couldn't let Liam's twisted vision dictate who I could become. What were the whispers of my mother's past doing in my life now? The truth blared with urgency alongside the wail of police cars approaching. The threads of legacy and the weight of possibilities tangled deeper around me. I braced for the tidal wave of confrontation. The last shock fell like a hammer. "And by the way, Hannah," Liam called out, his voice curling with malice as the shadow descended towards me, "your mother isn't the only one who kept secrets." The words struck me like a thunderclap, laying down a chilling finale to our small moment of unity. What other secrets were pinned to my legacy, like thorns? As shock continued to ripple through the assembly, I felt a deep sense of loss sneaking in, accompanied by the weight of unnerving revelation. Together, the rumors of my family's past started to shift and whirl into a future I had never imagined. The sirens continued to wail, their presence rising like a harbinger of chaos that clawed at my insides. As I stood among my friends, the turmoil unleashed a flood of emotions within me, fear grappling fiercely with the burgeoning hope ignited by Clara's rallying cry. Yet beneath that flicker of hope, unease settled deep in my stomach like a stone. The implications of Liam's words rattled through my mind like echoes in an empty chamber, whispering doubts I didn't know I harbored. "Wait," I shouted above the cacophony of voices. "Is anyone else hearing this? What other secrets? What does he mean?" Hope tinged with desperation colored my voice as I scanned Clara's face, searching for answers in her wide, earnest eyes. But even she looked haunted, the gravity of Liam's insinuation too heavy for her words. "Let's get you out of here," Ethan urged, shifting his body closer to mine, ready to lead me away from the turmoil. But a spark of stubbornness flared in me, rooted in knowing that every heartbeat echoed the need to confront the truth. The whispers of my mother's past demanded to be acknowledged, and oh, I cried, my heart racing. I can't run from this. Not anymore. My conviction surprised even me, rising from the ashes of confusion. It felt like the air around us was thickening, a storm brewing in both the physical world and the emotional landscape we found ourselves navigating. Clara grabbed my arm, her grip tightening like a lifeline. You can't face him alone, Hannah. We need a plan. The fear etched across her face mirrored my own, yet the burning intensity in her eyes reminded me that I wasn't as alone as I felt. I end this moment. I need you all beside me. I breathed, forcing cohesion back into the fragments of my resolve. We need to confront this. Whatever secrets Liam is taunting me with, they can't be worse than hiding from the truth. As Ethan nodded determinedly, the others rallied around us instinctively, forming a protective circle as the sirens grew louder. People may have scattered into the shadows of their homes, but those who remained seemed stirred by an underlying current of defiance. In this volatile climate, a fierce family bond was emerging, one I never thought possible. My heart warmed by the thought, even as it raced with fear. Before we could strategize further, chaos erupted. Shadows descended from the alleyways, rendering the dusk into a twisting nightmare of bodies in motion. People poured from every direction, launching shouting and fearful cries. I could see Liam sneering from the margins, his expression a taunting mask that vibrated with pleasure at the rising panic. Leaning in closer, Ethan murmured, "Stay with us. Well figured out." His voice resonated like a promise, fierce and unwavering. But something darker tugged at my heart, whispering doubts that my past was interlinked with the very danger encroaching upon us. What if uncovering the truth meant losing everything? The storm of uncertainty raged within me, weaving between anger and trepidation. Then, in a moment that felt as though time had twisted, a figure burst through the crowd, resolute and blazing like a shooting star against the darkness of the evening. It was a man I recognized, one whose calm demeanor had always grounded my small community amid chaos. Mr. Thompson, our local mechanic, rushed toward us, urgency filling the lines etched across his face. "We've got to go.
Now."
He shouted, grabbing Clara's shoulder with a sense of foreboding. "I saw them heading this way." "Who?" I demanded, battling against the ebb of fear that coursed through the crowd as uncertainty unfurled before me like a dark blanket threatening to cloak our rebellion. He glanced around, as if sensing the weight of the unsaid slipping through the fingers of courage.
"The gang.
They're not just after your mother's secrets, they're after you now too, Hannah. You can't fight this alone. Their reach is far and deep." Panic collided with defiance in my chest. The truth was unraveling, and with it, a sense of reality weighed down upon me. But amid the clamoring voices and the roughness of fear, I felt that weak flicker of hope pulse within me again. Perhaps the confrontation wasn't merely about my past, but rather the future I could carve out for the people I loved. Together, I breathed, glancing from one fierce face to another. We face this together. If the truth is going to destroy us, then let it. But I refuse to live my life shackled by shadows that loom beneath. I want to own my story. As the darkness thickened and the wails of the police sirens mingled with the distant thunder, we stood resolute against the gathering storm. But the storm was not merely one of local consequences. It was a maelstrom of legacy, woven with strands of my mother's choices that had almost irrevocably entangled my life. And just as we turned to act, the ground shook once more, this time erupting with the sound of breaking glass and chaotic voices echoing across the pain-stained ground. Fear, the old foe, hissed through the uncertain air, overshadowing my conviction, and as that cacophony grew louder, in the dark corners of my heart, echoing the chilling words of Liam, I felt something shift. The secrets I clung to might very well shatter the fragile reality I had built. And just as the fissures began to appear around us, a thought blossomed with crushing weight. When the truth unveiled itself, would it liberate me or destroy everything I held dear? The chaos simmered just beneath the surface, an unpredictable current threatening to drag us under. We pressed forward through the throng, the sounds of desperation blending into a symphony of unresolved fears. My heart beat a chaotic rhythm as the weight of Mr. Thompson's warning resonated within me. What awaited us on the other side of confrontation was a question that gnawed at my insides. As we pushed through the crowd, Mr. Thompson kept glancing back, his eyes darting to the dark corners where shadows moved ominously, like hounds sent to track us down. I could hear whispers from the bystanders, pity mixed with fear, fuel for the flames that threatened to consume us. I trained my gaze ahead, drawing strength from the peers around me. We were a tangle of determination moving as one. Where do we go? Clara's voice cut through the tension, laced with urgency. "To the old barn," Mr. Thompson replied, his voice steady. "It's far enough from the eye of danger and has enough cover for us to strategize. The barn, the old wooden structure on my family's property, filled with memories of childhood laughter and the scent of fresh hay. A perfect refuge, yet impossibly intertwined with the echoes of our past." As we made our way toward it, my mind raced. Would the very place that held my childhood dreams now witness our descent into turmoil? "We can't let them corner us," Ethan added, his grip firmly clasping my wrist. "Together," I thought, repeating it like a mantra. But even as I stood united with my friends, a gnawing skepticism wore at me. Could we truly face what lurked in the shadows? We slinked behind the barn, the wood creaking underfoot as we squeezed through the narrow opening. When we finally reached the dimly lit interior, I could feel the weight of each decision pressing down on us, every breath heavy with anticipation. Clara moved to flick on a flashlight that illuminated the corners, casting long shadows that danced eerily against the walls. "Let's talk," Mr. Thompson said, pacing the floor. "We're running out of time." "What? Liam knows what he's threatening to expose. It's bigger than you know." "What are you talking about?" I asked, urgency bleeding into my tone. His words held the promise of secrets, and part of me trembled with both dread and exhilaration. What if this was the moment where everything shifted? What if this was the key to understanding myself, to unlocking the chains of my history? "Your mother," he said slowly, measuring his words. "I was there when it all happened. There's a reason why they are after you. She was involved in dangerous things, Hannah. You deserve to know, but there are consequences." My breath caught in my throat. The edges of my reality blurred, tugging at the threads of my imagination as flickers of a long-buried past resurfaced. Memories of hurried conversations late at night, shadows creeping around our home, the sense of menace that was perpetually unspoken. Could Liam have unearthed something dark from those times? Something that could change the course of our lives forever? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed outside, jolting us all from our thoughts. A moment of silence followed, charged with our collective anticipation. Minutes stretched, hearts racing, until the door swung open forcefully. A figure stepped through, silhouetted against the fading light, a shadow I midnight recognized. "Liam," I breathed, clenching my fists as anger surged. He stepped closer, his eyes alight with a twisted sense of satisfaction, igniting the fury bubbling beneath my skin. "Ah, the brave little farmer finally decides to confront her legacy," he sneered, his voice like venom laced with mockery. Each word dripped with disdain, taunting me. "You really think running away will protect you? They can smell your fear even now. Get out!" Clara shouted, stepping protectively in front of me, though I felt frozen in her shadow. "You're not welcome here." "Not welcome?" He laughed, the sound reverberating cruelly. "Oh, I'm just getting started. You see, I have something that belongs to you, Hannah. Something your mother thought she could hide." He brandished what appeared to be a crumpled photograph, yellowed and worn, held like a trophy. My breath caught again, a mix of dread and curiosity surging through me. "What do you want with that? Don't you want to know the truth?" He taunted, taking a step closer, the distance between us charged with unresolved tension. "About her connections? About the kind of people who will do anything to keep their secrets buried." In that moment, the air throbbed with the weight of decisions untaken, the convergence of my past meeting the present. Everything I fought for felt precarious, as though the ground beneath us might give way. I could sense the whispers of my mother's choices fluttering in the air like dried leaves, ready to be caught in the wind, and then came the sound, the rumble of approaching engines, the dim lights cutting through the twilight, blending with the shadows we tried to escape. It dawned on me, then the stakes had risen. We were no longer merely fighting for ourselves. We were on the brink of something much larger. Liam, what do you know? My heart raced, a cocktail of rage and fear swirling within me. Tell me. Oh, dear Hannah, soon you will learn, he replied, a chilling smile dancing across his lips. The truth isn't merely a weapon sometimes, it's a fate worse than death. At that moment, I realized my path had twisted into darkness, and the very truth I sought might just mark the beginning of my own undoing. In the silence that followed, fear coiled around us, tightening its grip as we prepared to confront the reality, waiting to unravel. Would we find hope in the heart of destruction, or would the truth be too great a burden to bear? The tension in the barn thickened as Liam stood before us, claiming victory with every word that slipped from his lips. My heart raced, pounding a frantic beat against my ribcage, desperate for an escape, yet knowing that I couldn't afford to back down now. I had to find a way to untangle the web of fear and secrets that had been spun around my family, but fear clung to me like a second skin. Tell me what you know, I demanded, forcing every ounce of courage into my voice. I could feel the weight of my friends and family behind me, their solidarity igniting a flicker of bravery in my heart. Liam's eyes glimmered with malice, and he stepped closer, his presence filling the barn with an intimidating air. Your mother was a part of something, Hannah. A network rooted deep in this land, a web that still exists today. It was this very earth that allowed her to hide her secrets. And now, those secrets have a way of resurfacing, targeting the legacy she thought she left buried. I felt Ethan's hand squeeze mine, grounding me as the chill of his words seeped into my bones. I refuse to let you manipulate this. You think the truth will shatter us, but the only thing that can destroy us is silence, I retorted, surprising even myself with the nail of strength infused in my voice. Clara nodded beside me.
She's right, Liam.
Shouting out vague threats isn't enough to scare us.
If you have something to say, say it.
The defiance in her tone resonated deeply, a reminder that I wasn't facing this alone. Liam chuckled darkly, his laughter reverberating off the barn walls before he continued. From what I've gathered, your mother was in deep with criminals. She thought she could bury her past, but those roots don't just wither. They grow, seeking revenge especially if they think you've inherited her strength. The shadows in my mind responded violently to his words, swirling with memories of dark whispers and hurried conversations over flickering candlelight. I struggled to maintain my composure, but the truth of what he was hinting at clawed at my insides. What do you mean? What do you know about my mother's past? It's simple, really, he revealed, his tone almost mocking. There are those who would do anything to suppress a power like yours. If they think you might take back what's theirs, things could get ugly. In that moment, raw images flooded my thoughts. The late-night hushed murmurs of my mother, her watchful gaze as she held me close, the way she'd always deflected questions about our family's history. The realization hit me like a thundering wave, terrifying yet wholly liberating. Perhaps I indeed carried something potent within me, but so did all those who stood with me. We didn't stand alone. We had the power of unity. Just as my resolve began to shift towards determination, the sound of engines revving outside signaled that the gang was drawing near. Clara's younger brother peeked through the opening, eyes wide with apprehension. "They're coming," he exclaimed, and my heart dropped. "What do we do?" "Hold your ground," I said firmly, and everyone turned to face the door together, just as the barn creaked ominously under the gathering pressure. We could hear the whispers outside, the echoes of reluctance and bravado mingling with the threat lingering in the air. I stepped forward, regaining a sense of purpose. "No more hiding," I declared, glancing around at my friends and family, their faces etched with courage and disbelief. "If the truth has to come out, then let it. I won't let fear dictate who I am. We are the legacy of this land, and together, We will protect it. The resolve in my words struck a flame within the gathering, igniting a sense of conviction. Each face reflected shared strength, and I could feel their unwavering loyalty coalescing behind me. I turned to Liam, who was watching our unity unfold with a flicker of uncertainty behind his bravado. We will defend what is ours. We can rise together against the shadows you want to instill. That moment, a loud crash erupted from the back of the barn, doors flinging open wide to reveal figures cloaked in darkness. The gang had arrived. Chaos spilled forth into the night. My stomach twisted uneasily, but a pulse of empowerment surged through me as my friends snapped into action.
We weren't alone in this fight.
Liam's voice soared above the din. So you want to throw your lives away for a land of ghosts? You really think this means something? You could take a chance and run, Hannah. The choice is yours. In the blink of an eye, the atmosphere shifted, wrapping us in a cloak of determination spooned with despair. My heart thundered, but my voice remained steady.
No.
This land isn't just soil. It's memories, love, our strength. I won't let you take that away. The gang surged forward, an onslaught of personal fears turned tangible. But as they approached, I glimpsed a flicker of vulnerability behind their threatening demeanor. Everything within me screamed to confront the shadows, to dismantle the narrative that had haunted my family for far too long. Stand together, I shouted, channeling the strength flooding through me. Remember why we fight. We fight for truth, for one another just as we've always done. Clara and Ethan took their places by my side, echoing my conviction, drawing energy from the pulsating warmth surrounding us as our neighbors rallied behind. In that pivotal moment, the storm roared, but within us birthed an unbreakable fortitude, a unity forged by battles, past and present. The gang didn't stand a chance against the resolute front we formed. Our hearts beat in a synchronized rhythm, filling the barn with courage that reverberated in the resounding silence where fear once reigned. As the night settled around us, engulfed by uncertainty yet propelled by unity, I realized something monumental. We weren't merely fighting against the gang. We were reclaiming our narrative, rewriting the history that defined us. In those final moments, facing the monstrous shadows of fear, I felt a light surge within us, spark igniting potential. We would not retreat. And as the door trembled, stepping into the fight was not the last act of defiance, but the beginning of rewriting history, reclaiming what was ours. And there, standing shoulder to shoulder with my family, my friends, I knew that this was where we were meant to be, together at the forefront of change, armoring ourselves against the darkness. As the figure of Liam advanced, cloaked in malice, my voice rang out clear. Together we stand, united in our battles, unyielding in truth. And despite the uncertainty still lurking in the corners, one thought surged with undeniable clarity within me. Together, we are stronger than the shadows. With that revolutionary tension climaxing, we would face whatever storms awaited us, bound to discover the truth with every step we took into the light.